maintenance there as well. He just said he's cold floor, so there's a Maplewood car right across the street from him at Best Buy too. But so we regularly patrol South Lawn. Well, tomorrow should be fun, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get the old Durango washed up. We got a little damage on the front of the Durango. We almost had a lot of damage tonight.
Gives a character.
Skull Crusher is we're going hunt.
Well, Pat, you want to give a sign off here, buddy?
Yeah, thanks for being with us, folks.
Bottoms up, friends.
I personally think it was a fairly interesting night. You got to see two people drive really crazy away from us. And
Oh yeah.
just it was a really cold night. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but I hope it was interesting for you. It was for us.
We had a couple of interesting conversations with people.
Yes, we did.
That was with the guy that got arrested. I don't know if she was we knew that, but she was standing by the car here visiting. So I think the back seater's got a little window into that.
Right.
Before she claimed she had ingested some stuff.
But as always, be kind, folks, and hope to see some of you tomorrow.
For those of you out of town, we are going to transmit the parade live. I don't know if you know you're going to have to do some camera work too in the time. I'm proud. You're going to have to do camera.
I'll be sure to bring gloves.
All right, team, you're going after eggs this time. Alien eggs.
I'll tell you what.
Don't miss them.
You
Give them
drive
their
tomorrow,
glow.
I'll be the
Get the
camera
eggs to
man.
Storm and Molly and get back alive.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
That'll be the parade chairman tomorrow.
All right, folks, this is it. We will see you live tomorrow. Have a
Get to work. Inventory is clear.
Oh, sorry, I'm good. Copy. Code 4, dispatch code 10-3. Tower 16. 3-5 copy.
I was born ready. It's a mystery to me how all these minerals get inside. Bum, 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 bum. Tell me what the hell is here. I need some more. Obey me! Die, you piece of scrap! Focus fire!
Bullshit.
Off to the junkyard, you! What kind of foolish technology makes no get in the way?
Wow. Yes.
Conversation with this. Hey, what's going on, guys? First of all, thank you so much. All the new subscribers, crazy, totally crazy. This is a brand new, I know you guys have been waiting unbelievably patiently. This is a brand new encounter. I have had so much going on in my life, I just could not get around to some stuff until just now. I apologize. Probably one of the most important things, please take a second to go to my other channel called Strange Stories and subscribe. I may have to go over there and totally get rid of this channel and do all my stuff over there. Either way, even if that doesn't happen, again, I kind of have to wait to tell you all the details about this stuff. I'll explain later. But it's not going to hurt you either way, because even if I don't move completely over there with all this stuff, I think you will like that other channel either way. So please take a second to go subscribe over there. I think you guys will absolutely love that stuff once I actually get a chance to add more than one video over there. Okay, and also I have a big surprise coming. How do I word this without giving it away? It's nothing new, but in a way it is, because it's something that nobody has ever done on YouTube, ever. I don't think anybody, any type of channel, and I've never seen something like this before, ever. And there is a reason I'm doing it. I will explain that later as well. But I'm currently working on something that it's taken days and days and days, and hopefully it'll be done today. You guys are going to be freaking out when I release this, just because of the sheer factor of it never happening on YouTube before. Also, guys, if you get a second, if you want to support the channel with just $1 or $2 or something like that a month, check out my Patreon. I have links to that too all over the place. Or if you want to check out my merchandise, I have a decent amount of merchandise as well right now. If you want to check that out, links to that all over the place as well. So let's get on to the encounter. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. I'm getting kind of rusty doing this. Okay, guys, so I think you are going to love this crazy encounter. I had a lengthy conversation with this guy over the phone, and he lives in Canada. Canada seems to be, as I've said before, a huge hotspot for these encounters. And hearing this encounter firsthand from this guy, I mean, his voice was shaking. It was kind of almost traumatizing just for me to hear it. Just, you know, it didn't even happen to me, but just if you had heard this guy over the phone, oh my gosh. But he doesn't want to give up the location or his name, but he doesn't mind giving the encounter. Now, I'm obviously, this isn't foolproof by any means, but my intuition, just from having a conversation with this guy, tells me that he was being completely honest. I don't think the best actor in Hollywood could be as convincing. If he was just trying to, spin a yarn or whatever. It was crazy. It kind of had me speechless, and because this is a little bit of an unusual, very much so an unusual type of thing that happened in this encounter. So let's get to it. And by the way, thank you to him for not only for showing it, or sharing it, I should say, but also for being patient enough for me to, stop him and write down this stuff or to type it out as he was telling me this encounter, because obviously I have to narrate from something written. So, man, this all started when my little girl, my daughter, was about 8 years old. She's now 13. So much changed between then and now. We don't talk as much as we used to, and we don't talk about the encounter. It's something that is just too traumatizing, and I don't feel like it helps either one of us to talk about it. I've tried a few times, and she just shuts down. And that hurts me as a dad to not be able to talk, to my daughter about something that is so important, that frightens her. I mean, it frightens me too. This is not your everyday encounter. It's crazy. It's extremely crazy. And let me just say to all the trolls and haters and non-believers and all that out there, these things are real. These things are 100% real. You're never going to believe it until you see one yourself. If that's the way your mindset is, you're just going to have to wait until you see one yourself. And I guarantee after you do, you will not be making fun of people. You won't be trolling. And, a lot of people think, well, I've had a lot of experience in the woods or experience with animals. I've never seen one, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I can handle it. I've seen crazy stuff. Maybe you might think I've been in the military. I've been to the zoo. I've seen a gorilla. This is not like seeing a gorilla. This is not like seeing anything else. It's something totally different. You might see a gorilla or a chimp or something in the woods. If you were in the right place in the world, you might see a person. But that link between the two, that strange, unexplained, unknown to science, whatever you want to call it, missing link, when you see that in the woods, it's something unlike anything else you could possibly see, and it changes you forever. For one, these things are massive. They're gigantic. They're bigger than any gorilla or any person you would ever see. Much bigger. Much, much bigger. So anyway, my daughter and I loved the woods. Loved. Past tense. We don't love it anymore. There's no hiding that. None. There's no way we can pretend that we don't, and just go on with our normal lives and go out in the woods like we used to. We used to love it so much. Living in Canada, it was a very big portion of our lives. Beautiful scenery, beautiful things out there. And now, if we're outside our vehicle, it just doesn't even feel safe. Do I think these beings are inherently or 100% all the time evil or mean us harm or whatever? No. But I think there are some out there that you would not want to run into, ever. Especially in the way we did. So, on this fateful day that this happened,
Carvana's had a lot of firsts. 100% online car buying, car vending machines, and now putting you in control of your financing. At Carvana, get personalized terms, browse for cars that fit your budget, then customize your down payment and monthly payment. And these aren't made up numbers. It's what you'll really pay, right down to the penny. Whether you're shopping or just looking. It only takes a few seconds and it won't affect your credit score. Finally!
my daughter and I were enjoying a beautiful day. It was about an hour before dark. We were walking along this lake, along the side, the edge of this lake that we love, that we used to love. And it was a pretty open area. It wasn't, thick woods or anything. You wouldn't think anything could really sneak up on you. Of course, that was the last thing in our mind, the last thing on our mind. Something would be able to approach us without us knowing. Especially not something large. That's another strange thing about these beings, these beasts. They're enormous, but they can move silently. Now, how is that possible? How could, just from sheer gravity, weight, how could they move so silently when they weigh that much? I don't know how they do it. I'm 200 pounds. I can't do it. I always make a sound. Do they have some other ability to block our hearing or something? I know it's far-fetched, but I just don't know. Well, absolutely out of nowhere, is where our lives changed forever. I suddenly felt pushed down. Not like a human pushed me down, but just like something ran into me and knocked me down. And it wasn't violent. It wasn't like I was just slammed down to the earth. I just, boom, I was on the ground. And the first thing I see, I was actually holding my daughter's hand at the time. The first thing I see is a large, gigantic mass right next to me swoop up my daughter, grab her up just like a human would do, and run off. Well, it was so crazy. All my parental instincts just went out the window for a few seconds. I was just stunned, sitting there looking. What is going on? Is this real? Did this just happen? And I jumped to my feet, and as I did, it turned around and looked at me for a second, but kept running. It wasn't actually running extremely fast. It didn't look to be moving fast like a professional runner, but it was covering a lot of ground because it was so huge. I could see the look on my daughter's face. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't making a sound, but she was looking at me with this surprised look, not even scared, not terrified. Nothing about this made any sense. And I guess that's why my mind couldn't even process it. It was almost like am I dreaming? Well, after several seconds, it sort of broke through into my mind, for lack of better words. And I was able to realize what is going on. And I gave chase. It was like everything was in slow motion and almost silent. It was not real. It was real, but it didn't seem real. It was like something was affecting my senses. The look on this thing's face, it was very, very, very human, but it didn't have an evil, bad look like it was up to no good. It just had a look like, hey, what is this thing? I want to take it somewhere else and check it out. It's just a curious look almost. After I somewhat came to my senses, and this all happened in just a few seconds, I gave chase. I ran as fast as I possibly could at this thing, watching in horror as my daughter reached out over its shoulder, reaching for me. That's all the detail I want to go into about what it looked like when I saw her face. But I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running as fast as I can. And I feel myself getting winded and tired and slowing down. And I'm not even gaining on this thing. I'm not even close. Looks like it's just sort of jogging, at a slow pace, but it's covering unbelievable ground. I mean, this thing had to be 8.5 feet tall if it was an inch tall. I mean, so you can imagine 8.5 feet, how long the legs are. It's covering several feet more than I am with every stride. It was the most unbelievable thing and the most hopeless, terrifying feeling. I didn't actually feel like it was going to do anything bad to my daughter. But it doesn't matter. It was taking my daughter away. And I just couldn't deal with that. I didn't know what to do. I saw this thing with my daughter reach the edge of the woods that went into the woods. And it was pushing aside fairly large trees like nothing, just to make way. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to chase this thing into the woods, and both of us may die. Can you imagine that? You're going through your head to say, do I try to save my daughter, and then we both die? Or do I try to save myself? Of course, as a parent, you're going to try to save your kid no matter what. But you also think, what about my wife? What about my other kid? Is there, am I going to be leaving them alone? How do you know what's the best thing to do in that situation? You don't. Because there are pros and cons to either. Huge, unbelievably huge pros and cons to either choice. But I followed it into the woods. When I started running through the woods, of course I was making even less progress. Little saplings and stuff like that were in this thing's way snapped like they were blades of grass. It was nothing. Didn't slow it down at all. But it did seem to be protecting my daughter. It didn't seem to be being, I don't know what you'd say, not careful with her. I paid attention to the way it was holding her. I could feel the tears streaming down my face. As a man, that's not a good feeling. It makes you feel weak and useless.
First, there was Vegas, then Atlantic City. Now, your pocket. DraftKings has an online casino where you can play your favorite games whenever and wherever you want. Slots.
I could hear myself screaming at this thing, but it was like it wasn't even very loud. So strange. It's like I didn't have air in my lungs to make it loud. You know, they always say your life flashes before your eyes. It was kind of like that. Every good, bad, or neutral decision I ever made in my life was flashing before my eyes. I was questioning everything I had ever done, everything I had ever said. I thought, is this the last day of my life? Is this the last day of my daughter's life? For some reason, I didn't think so. It wasn't feeling like we were going to be harmed, but at the same time, I was terrified, which doesn't make any sense. If I had the gut feeling nothing was going to happen to us, why would I be terrified? But how do you know how to react to a situation like this? How would anybody know? And that's when things got worse. I tripped over, I guess, a rock or something, and I fell down, flat on my face, gashed above my left eyebrow, really bad. Blood started getting in my eye, sweat was getting in the other eye. I could barely see. So now I'm practically running blind. But I couldn't give up. I couldn't. Just then I heard the strangest sound. It sounded like a grunt of pain. Like this beast had something happen to it and it was in pain. And then I heard some screeching. Human screeching. And I thought, that's my daughter. After I ran half blind for another minute or two, I caught sight of her. There she was, sitting in a little hollow, a little dugout portion of the ground. Dug out by a beast? I don't know, but it looked like something had dug out a little impression in the ground, almost for shelter or something like that. She was sitting in it alone. No sign of anything anywhere. I started to hear her screaming, "Daddy had dropped me! Daddy had dropped me!" And then she says, all I had to do was say, "Please let me go." And it did. It was like it understood what I said. "Daddy, Daddy," as soon as I said, "Please let me go," it dropped me. "I'm okay, I'm okay." She just kept yelling, "I'm okay." I couldn't have been happier. I could not have been any more happy. No sign of the beast anywhere now. I say beast, but I should say person. This thing reminded me of a person more than it did a beast. But at the same time, no person looks or is able to do those things. I guess this thing is 75% beast, 25% person. But it's definitely both. If you've ever seen one, you know what I mean. With every bit of strength I have left at this point, I grabbed my daughter up and we ran. We ran back to where we had come from. And I just didn't look back. Somehow I thought, if this thing comes back, I don't even want to know. I'm not going to waste any time looking back. I've got my daughter. I'm out of here. That's all I care about. She was trying to explain to me what had happened. And I said, "Honey, just be quiet. Just don't try to talk to me right now. Let's just both conserve our breath. We'll talk later." And I ran and ran and ran with her. I had to rest and stop sometimes, but eventually, what seemed like forever, as time went by, and I made it back. We made it back to where we were. I I saw the huge footprints and where this thing had grabbed her. Huge, enormous footprints deep in the ground. 3 to 4 feet at least apart. Now, I didn't measure it all, but let's put it this way. If I had to compare to this 6-foot frame, 200-pound guy, which is not huge, if I had to compare, I would say the depth, the size, the footprints, and the distance the strides were apart, it was practically twice what mine were. Except for my cut that I had that I mentioned, and being very sore from running, and except for her having a few scratches here and there from being dropped, we were essentially okay. She helped me by holding a rag that I made from my shirt. She held that over my eye to stop the bleeding. And we basically just laid there, out of breath, freaking out, for what seemed like an hour, keeping an eye out.
Fuck.
All
That's it.
around to see if anything came back. Because honestly, we couldn't run anymore right then
Son
anyway.
of a B. Oh,
Well,
Jack.
thank you for listening. I really don't want to talk about anything else that happened after that point, but we are okay. Physically. Mentally, we are not okay. Spiritually, I don't know. There are many different facets, many different sides to a person. There's a physical side. Obviously, as I said, physical, mental, spiritual. In some ways we are okay. In some ways we are not.
Do I still got
But
all
what's
my
important
limbs?
is we are together. So, thank you again for listening. And I hope this sheds some light on the situation for people. I hope this maybe gives other people the courage to come forward and talk about their encounters. This stuff is real. These people, these things, these beasts, whatever, they're real. What happened could have been worse for us, but I still don't have the feeling that it outright wanted to hurt us. I feel like it was sort of a curious, as I said, hey, what is this thing? I'm going to take it and go check it out. Now, am I wrong? Maybe. Maybe it was going to hurt us. I don't know. But it just didn't seem mean or evil or like it was hungry or anything like that. Terrorizing, horrible experience nonetheless. Well, I guess that's about all I have to say about the encounter.
Oof.
If I think of anything else pertinent, I will amend this and send it to you if you want to include it in your footnotes or anything like that. But thank you for your channel. Thank you for giving people a place to share their stories, because it is therapeutic in a way. This is the type of thing that you can't really just talk to anybody about. But I feel like on your channel, it is a place, a safe haven, where we can talk about the things that we wish never happened. I am not the best storyteller, especially when it has to do with something horrible that happened to me. I think anybody would struggle with that. But I hope, again, what I've shared with you, for the community out there, does more good than bad. That's all we can hope for. Thanks again. Have a good one. Well, guys, there you have it. That is the crazy and traumatic experience shared with me with this guy. Very, very, very scary. I don't think that abducting people is something that happens very often with Bigfoot. And he did say that he 100% thinks that this was a quote Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it. Not 99%, 100%.
famous one that I received from Dr. Jeff Meldrum. The size of it. I know. If you're not into this, you're going, that's just fake. Maybe it is. But what if it isn't? You know what time it is. So cheers.
Cheers, Wes.
It's director's commentary time. In case you misread the title, how about we just get right into it? This is, I believe, the second or last time that I went out with Todd Standing to shoot a Bigfoot film. More on him and that situation.
Alright, boys, girls, whomever's watching. Time for me to sign out. Thank you.